They interviewed Maya and her family. They interviewed Thomas Brennan and showed all the changes at the bank. They interviewed community leaders and some of the scholarship recipients. The story was called, How One Video Changed a Community. During her interview, the reporter asked Maya what she wanted people to remember about her story. Maya thought about it and then said something that surprised even herself. I want people to remember that I'm not just a victim. Yes, something bad happened to me. Yes, I was treated unfairly, but I'm also a survivor. I'm also someone who used her pain to create change. I want people to know that even young people have power. Even kids can make a difference. You don't have to be an adult to stand up for what's right. You don't have to be perfect to deserve respect. You just have to be human, and every human being deserves to be treated with dignity. The reporter smiled. That's very wise for someone your age. Maya shrugged. I had to grow up faster than I wanted to, but maybe that's okay. Maybe everything happens for a reason. After the interview aired, Maya got messages from young people all over the country. Kids who had experienced discrimination. Kids who felt powerless. Kids who thought nobody would listen to them. They thanked Maya for sharing her story. They told her she had inspired them. Some said they had spoken up about unfair treatment because of her example. Some said they had started saving money because she showed them it was possible. These messages meant more to Maya than any of the apologies from the bank or the scholarship funds or the protests. These messages showed her that her pain had not been for nothing. Other kids were being helped because she had been brave enough to let people see her hurt. But Maya also knew that the work was not finished. Yes, one bank had changed some of its practices. Yes, one teller had been fired. Yes, there was more awareness now. But discrimination had not ended. Bias still existed. Children of color were still treated with suspicion in stores and banks and schools. There was still so much work to do. Maya decided that she would keep telling her story as long as people wanted to hear it. She would keep speaking at schools and community events. She would keep advocating for change. Not because she wanted to be famous or special, but because she had learned something important. She had learned that silence allows bad things to continue. She had learned that speaking up, even when it's scary, is how change happens. She had learned that one person, even a 12-year-old girl, can make a difference. One evening, Maya sat with her family at the dinner table. They were having their favorite meal, her mother's chicken and rice. Everyone was talking and laughing. For a moment, Maya just looked around at her family. Her father, strong and protective. Her mother, wise and loving. Marcus, her big brother who always had her back. Keisha, her little sister who looked up to her. This was what mattered most. Not the banks or the news stories or the viral videos. This family, this love, this support. What are you thinking about? Her mother asked. Noticing Maya's thoughtful expression, Maya smiled. I'm thinking about how lucky I am. Even though something bad happened, I have all of you, and I have a chance to help other people. That's pretty special. Her father reached over and squeezed her hand. You're pretty special, Maya. We're all proud of you. As Maya looked around the table at the faces of the people who loved her most, she realized something important. The camera footage had changed everything, but not in the way people might think. Yes, it had led to bank policy changes and protests and news stories, but the real change had happened inside Maya herself. She had discovered her own strength. She had found her voice. She had learned that she was worth fighting for and that other people were worth fighting for too. That was the real transformation. That was what the camera footage had truly changed. And that change would last long after the video stopped trending, long after the news cameras went away, long after everyone else had moved on to the next story. Maya would carry that change with her for the rest of her life. I stood there and watched Patricia treat your daughter badly, and I didn't stop it. I should have stepped in. I should have told Patricia that her behavior was unacceptable. But I didn't. I was passive. I was part of the problem. I've been going through training and therapy to understand my own biases and why I failed to protect Maya that day. I know a letter and an apology can't undo what happened, but I wanted Maya to know that I am truly, deeply sorry. And I wanted you to know that I'm working on being better. Robert read the letter. It was 3 pages long. Mr. Chen had written about his own experiences with discrimination as an Asian American. He wrote about how he had sometimes gone along with things to fit in or to avoid conflict. He wrote about how seeing the video of Maya had made him realize he had to change. 6 months had passed since that terrible day at the bank. The world looked different now, at least in some ways. Maya stood inside a completely redesigned bank branch. This was not the same branch where everything had happened. That branch had been temporarily closed for renovations and staff retraining. This was a new location, and it was called the Community Banking Center. The walls were painted in warm colors. There were photos on the walls showing diverse families and children. One whole section of the wall was dedicated to community voices. Right in the center was a photo of Maya with a quote underneath. The quote said, "Every customer deserves respect and dignity no matter how young they are or what they look like." Maya Jenkins, age 12. Maya touched the frame around her photo. It still felt strange to see herself on the bank wall. Her mother stood beside her with a proud smile on her face. Thomas Brennan was there too, along with several other people from the bank and the community. "We want every person who comes into this bank to remember why we made these changes," Thomas said. "We want them to remember Maya's courage and the lesson she taught all of us." First National Bank had kept most of their promises. Every employee, from the CEO down to the newest teller, had completed anti-bias training. The training was not just a one-time thing. Employees had to take refresher courses every 6 months. The bank had also hired a chief diversity officer, whose job was to make sure that all branches were treating customers fairly. The new complaint system was working. In the past 6 months, 15 complaints about discrimination had been filed. Each one was investigated by an independent team that included community members. 3 employees had been fired for discriminatory behavior. 5 others had been given additional training and warnings. The bank published a report every 3 months showing how many complaints they received and what actions they took. The Community Advisory Board was also active. They met once a month to review bank policies and suggest changes. Reverend Marcus Thompson was the chair of the board. He took his job seriously. When he found out that the bank was planning to close a branch in a low-income neighborhood, he fought against it and won. The branch stayed open. Maya had changed too. She was 13 now, and in many ways she seemed older than that. The experience had taken away some of her innocence, but it had also given her strength. She had become a youth advocate, speaking at schools and community events about financial literacy and civil rights. Her speech at her middle school had been particularly powerful. She stood in front of the whole school during an assembly and told her story. She talked about working hard and saving money. She talked about what happened at the bank. And then she talked about what it means to stand up for yourself and for others. "A lot of people ask me if I wish the video had never been posted," Maya told the students. "They ask if I wish nobody knew what happened to me. And honestly, sometimes I do wish that. It was really hard having everyone see me cry. It was hard having people say mean things about me online. It was hard feeling like my private pain became entertainment for the world." She paused and looked out at all the faces watching her. "But then I think about all the people who came forward with their own stories after my video went viral. I think about the changes that happened because people saw what happened to me. I think about other kids who might be treated better now because banks and businesses know that people are watching. And when I think about all that, I'm glad the truth came out. I'm glad people saw what happened. Because silence protects the people who do wrong things. Speaking up is what creates change." The students gave her a standing ovation. Several students came up to Maya afterward and thanked her. Some shared their own stories of being treated unfairly. Maya listened to all of them. She was becoming good at listening. The scholarship fund had awarded its first scholarships. 5 students received money to help them go to college and study business or finance. The scholarship ceremony was emotional. Maya got to meet the recipients and hear about their dreams. One girl wanted to be an accountant. One boy wanted to start his own construction company. Maya felt proud that something good had come from something so painful. Jennifer Walsh and Maya's family had become very close. Jennifer's daughter Emma and Maya were now best friends. They had sleepovers and did homework together and talked about everything. Jennifer and Carol often had coffee together and talked about raising daughters in a complicated world. Jennifer sometimes felt conflicted about posting the video. She saw how much stress it had put on Maya and her family, but she also saw the changes that had happened because of it. One day she asked Maya directly if she was angry at her for posting the video. Maya thought about it carefully before answering. At first I was, Maya admitted. I was so embarrassed that everyone saw me crying. I didn't want to be famous for being treated badly. But Ms. Walsh, if you hadn't posted that video, nothing would have changed. Patricia would still have her job. The bank would still be treating people badly. And I would still think that what happened was somehow my fault. So no, I'm not angry at you. I'm grateful. You saw something wrong and you did something about it. That's what more people need to do. Patricia Holloway's life had gone in a different direction. After being fired from the bank, she had trouble finding another job. The video had made her infamous. Employers would Google her name and find the story. She tried working in retail for a while, but customers recognized her and complained. She eventually moved to another state to start over. Patricia never did apologize directly to Maya. She gave one more interview where she said she regretted how things turned out. But she still insisted she had just been doing her job. Most people did not believe her. Her few defenders slowly went away as more stories came out about other customers she had mistreated. Mr. Chen had a different experience. After his suspension and extensive training, he was eventually allowed to work again. But he did not go back to being a supervisor. He took a position as a regular teller at a different branch. He said he wanted to start over and prove that he had changed. He also started volunteering with youth programs in underserved communities, teaching financial literacy. He was trying to make amends in his own way. Maya ran into Mr. Chen one day at a community event. It was awkward at first. Neither of them knew what to say, but Mr. Chen approached her and spoke quietly. Maya, I just want you to know that I think about that day all the time. I failed you. I'm working every day to be better. I know I can't change what happened, but I hope someday you can see that people can change and grow. Maya looked at him. She could see that he meant it. She could see the regret in his eyes. I hope you do become better, Mr. Chen, she said. Because we need more people to stand up when they see something wrong. We need people to be brave enough to do the right thing, even when it's hard. Mr. Chen nodded and his eyes got a little watery. You're right. Thank you for teaching me that. The protests outside the bank had stopped after a few weeks, but the activism had not. The community had formed a group called Banking Justice Now that monitored financial institutions in the area. They collected complaints, organized boycotts when necessary, and celebrated banks that were doing things right. First National Bank was on their watch list, but the group had acknowledged the progress the bank was making. Maya's savings account had grown significantly. The GoFundMe campaign that Jennifer had started had raised over $50,000 for Maya's education. That money was in a trust fund that Maya could not touch until she was 18, but knowing it was there made her feel secure about her future. She was already thinking about going to college and maybe studying business or law. Her brother Marcus had enrolled in community college. He was studying business management and working part-time. He often told Maya that watching her stand up for herself had inspired him to take his education seriously. He wanted to make something of himself, not just for his own sake, but to honor what his sister had been through. Maya's little sister Keisha had also been affected by everything. She was more aware now of how the world could treat people differently based on their skin color. It was a hard lesson for such a young child to learn, but Carol and Robert tried to teach both their daughters that while the world could be unfair, they had the power to demand better. They taught them to be proud of who they were and to never accept discrimination quietly. On the 6-month anniversary of the incident, a local news station did a follow-up story. Yes, we want to set aside $100,000 for a scholarship program that will help young people from underserved communities learn about finance and business. We'll call it the Maya Jenkins Financial Literacy Scholarship. With your permission, of course. The family looked at each other. It seemed like a good thing, but they were not sure if they should trust the bank. The Jenkins family asked for time to think about the scholarship fund. Thomas agreed and left them his contact information. After he left, the family sat together and talked for hours. Some of them felt like the bank was only doing these things because they got caught. Some of them felt like it was still a step in the right direction. They could not agree on what to do. Over the next few days, things got even more complicated. The story kept growing bigger. More news stations wanted to interview the family. A famous civil rights lawyer called and offered to represent them for free if they wanted to sue the bank. A publishing company called and asked if they wanted to write a book about the experience. It was all too much, but something else was happening too. The bank had posted a public statement on their website and social media. They apologized to Maya and her family. They announced that Patricia Holloway had been fired from the bank. Mr. Chen had been placed on unpaid leave and would have to complete extensive training before being allowed to work again. The branch manager, Sarah Mitchell, was also being reassigned because she had failed to address previous complaints properly. When people heard that Patricia had been fired, there were mixed reactions. Some people cheered. They felt like justice had been served. But others, including some people who did not understand what had really happened, said the bank was being too harsh. They said Patricia was just doing her job. They said she was being made into a scapegoat. Patricia herself gave an interview to a local newspaper. In the interview, she defended herself. She said she had just been following bank procedures. She said she would have treated any child with that much money the same way. She said the whole thing had been blown out of proportion and that she was the real victim because she had lost her job. When Maya's family read Patricia's interview, they were furious. Patricia had not apologized at all. She had not admitted that what she did was wrong. She was still acting like Maya had been the problem. She doesn't even see it, Carol said, shaking her head. She doesn't understand what she did wrong. The interview made things worse for Patricia. More people got angry at her. Her name was all over the internet, and not in a good way. People found her social media accounts. Some people sent her mean messages. Some people even found out where she lived and drove by her house. It got so bad that Patricia had to move in with her sister in another town. Maya felt strange about all of this. She had never wanted Patricia to be fired. She had never wanted anyone to attack Patricia's house or send her hate mail. She had just wanted to be treated with respect. But now everything had spun out of control. Meanwhile, other customers started coming forward with their own stories. A man named David Brown called the local news and said that Patricia had treated him rudely 3 years ago when he tried to open a business account. He was black, and Patricia had questioned everything about his business. She had made him bring in extra documentation. She had made him wait for weeks. He had filed a complaint, but nothing had happened. A woman named Lisa Martinez shared her story on Facebook. She was Latina, and Patricia had accused her of using a fake ID when she tried to cash a check. The check was from Lisa's employer. It was completely legitimate, but Patricia had called security and made Lisa wait for over an hour while they verified everything. Lisa had been so humiliated that she had switched to a different bank. These stories and others started creating a bigger picture. Patricia had a pattern of treating customers of color differently than white customers, and the bank had failed to stop it even when people complained. First National Bank announced more changes. They created a special phone number and website where customers could report discrimination. They promised that every complaint would be investigated by an independent team, not by branch managers who might try to protect their employees. They also announced that they would be reviewing their hiring and training practices to make sure something like this never happened again. But not everyone was happy with the bank's response. The protesters who had gathered outside the branch wanted more. They wanted the bank to donate money to community organizations. They wanted the bank to hire more diverse staff. They wanted real change, not just words and promises. A community leader named Reverend Marcus Thompson organized a town hall meeting. He invited the bank executives, the Jenkins family, and anyone from the community who wanted to attend. Over 300 people showed up. The meeting was emotional. Person after person stood up and shared their stories of being treated unfairly at banks, stores, restaurants, and other businesses. Some people cried. Some people were angry. Many people said they were tired of having to explain to their children why some people would treat them differently because of the color of their skin. Thomas Brennan and other banky executives sat on the stage and listened. They looked uncomfortable. They took notes. They apologized over and over, but some people in the audience said apologies were not enough. They wanted action. Maya and her family were sitting in the front row. Maya had not wanted to come, but her parents thought it was important. During the meeting, Reverend Thompson invited Maya to come up and speak if she wanted to. At first, Maya shook her head no, but then she looked around at all these people who had come to support her. She thought about all the other kids who might go through what she went through. She stood up. The room got quiet as Maya walked to the microphone. She was shaking a little bit, but she took a deep breath and started to talk. My name is Maya Jenkins. I'm 12 years old. 2 weeks ago, I went to a bank to open my first savings account. I had worked for 2 years to save my money. I was so proud of myself. But when I went to that bank, the lady behind the counter treated me like I was a bad person. She acted like I had stolen my money. She talked loud so everyone could hear. She made me feel so small and so ashamed. Maya's voice cracked a little, but she kept going. I went home that day and cried. I didn't want to tell anyone what happened because I felt embarrassed, even though I didn't do anything wrong. I just wanted to forget about it. But then the video came out and everyone saw what happened. And now I know that I'm not the only one. So many people have been treated badly just because of how they look. She looked at the bank executives. I don't want other kids to feel the way I felt. I don't want anyone to feel that way. So I hope you really do change things. I hope you really do make sure your employees treat everyone with respect. Because words are easy, but actually doing something is hard. The room erupted in applause. People stood up and cheered for Maya. Some people were crying. Maya went back to sit with her family, and her mother hugged her tight. After the town hall meeting, things started to move faster. The bank announced they would donate $50,000 to local youth organizations. They created a community advisory board that would include local leaders and would have the power to review bank policies and make recommendations. They also said they would prioritize hiring from the local community to make sure their staff looked like the neighborhoods they served. The Jenkins family decided to accept the scholarship fund idea. They worked with the bank to create guidelines for the scholarship. It would go to students from underserved communities who showed an interest in business, finance, or entrepreneurship. The first scholarships would be awarded the following year. Jennifer Walsh and the Jenkins family became friends. Jennifer's daughter and Maya met and got along well. Jennifer felt good that she had spoken up, even though she knew it had been hard for Maya and her family to have such a private moment become so public. But not everything was positive. Maya still struggled with what had happened. She had nightmares sometimes about being in the bank and everyone staring at her. She did not like going into stores or banks anymore because she felt like people were watching her. She started seeing a counselor to talk about her feelings. At school, most of Maya's friends were supportive, but some kids were mean. Some made jokes about the video. Some said she was famous now and asked her for autographs in a mocking way. Maya tried to ignore them, but it hurt. Marcus graduated from his grocery store job and got a better job at a warehouse. He saved his money and was planning to go to college. He told Maya that watching her be brave had inspired him to do more with his life. He wanted to study business and maybe open his own store someday. One afternoon, about 3 weeks after everything happened, Maya was sitting at home doing homework when there was a knock at the door. Her father answered it. A man was standing there holding an envelope. "Is this the Jenkins residence?" The man asked. "Yes," Robert said carefully. "Who are you?" "My name is David Chen. I'm the supervisor who was at the bank the day Maya came in. I wanted to give this to your family personally." Robert took the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. Mr. Chen asked if he could say something, and Robert let him talk. "I've been thinking about that day every single day since it happened," Mr. Chen said. Starting next week, every single person who worked for First National Bank would have to attend training about bias, discrimination, and how to treat all customers with respect. But Thomas knew this was just the beginning. The video was still spreading. More and more people were watching it. The comments kept coming. Some people were planning protests at the bank. Others were calling for boycotts. The bank's reputation was being destroyed minute by minute. And at the center of it all was a 12-year-old girl who had just wanted to open a savings account. By Wednesday morning, Maya's story was everywhere. It was on the national news. People across the country were talking about it at breakfast tables and in office break rooms. The video had been viewed over 8 million times. Maya's name was trending on Twitter. The story had become bigger than anyone could have imagined. Maya woke up that morning and did not want to get out of bed. Her mother came into her room and sat on the edge of the bed. "How are you feeling, baby?" "I don't want to go to school," Maya said. "Everyone is going to stare at me. Everyone is going to talk about me." Carol understood. "You can stay home today. Your father already called the school and told them you need a day off." But staying home did not make the situation go away. The phone kept ringing. There were news vans parked outside their house. Reporters were knocking on the door. Maya's family had to keep the curtains closed and not answer the door. Then something unexpected started to happen. People in the community began showing up at the house, but not reporters. These were neighbors and friends and even strangers who wanted to help. Mrs. Peterson, from down the street, brought over a casserole for dinner. Mr. Williams from the corner store came by to tell Maya he was proud of her. He said he had experienced the same kind of treatment many times in his life, and he was glad someone had finally caught it on camera. The doorbell rang again around noon. This time it was Jennifer Walsh, the woman who had recorded the video. Maya's father answered the door. "Mr. Jenkins, my name is Jennifer Walsh. I'm the person who recorded the video at the bank. I wanted to come by and talk to you and your family if that's okay." Robert looked at this white woman standing on his porch. He did not know what to think. Part of him was grateful that she had recorded what happened. Part of him was angry that his daughter's worst moment was now public for the world to see. "Why did you do it?" Robert asked.
"Why did you record my daughter and put it on the internet?"
Jennifer looked him in the eyes. "Because what I saw was wrong, and I knew that if nobody saw it, nothing would change. I know my posting that video has caused your family a lot of stress. I know Maya probably didn't want the whole world to see her crying. But Mr. Jenkins, I'm a teacher. I have an 11-year-old daughter. If someone treated my child that way, I would want someone to speak up. I would want someone to do something." Robert studied her face. He could see she meant it. He opened the door wider. "Come in." Jennifer came inside and met the whole family. When she saw Maya, her eyes filled with tears. "Sweetheart, I am so sorry for what you went through. You did nothing wrong. Nothing at all." Maya did not know what to say. She just nodded. Jennifer sat down with the family and told them everything she had seen at the bank that day. She told them about the white boy and the white girl who had been treated so differently. She told them about how Patricia had smiled at those children but frowned at Maya. She explained that she had waited to post the video because she wanted to think carefully about it, but in the end, she felt she had to do something. "I hope I didn't make things worse for you," Jennifer said. "That was never my intention." "You made things public," Carol said. "That's not the same as making things worse. If you hadn't recorded it, we would have complained to the bank and they probably would have done nothing. Now they have to do something." As they talked, more people kept arriving at the house. Some were neighbors bringing food and support. But others were strangers. Some were news reporters who would not take no for an answer. Some were people who wanted to help. Some were people who were just curious. By the afternoon, a small crowd had gathered outside the Jenkins house. Some people held signs that said, "We stand with Maya," and "Black kids matter too." A few people from the local NAACP chapter showed up. They told Robert and Carol that they wanted to organize a peaceful protest at the bank. They wanted to make sure this kind of thing never happened to another child. Maya watched all of this from her bedroom window. She felt overwhelmed. She had not asked for any of this. She had just wanted to open a bank account. Now there were strangers outside her house holding signs with her name on them. Her phone kept buzzing with messages. Some of her friends from school were texting her with support. Some were asking questions. Some just wanted to know if she was okay. But there were also mean messages. Someone had found her social media accounts and sent her hateful words. Someone called her a liar. Someone said she was just trying to get attention. Marcus helped her block those accounts and made her profile private. Meanwhile, at the bank branch, things were getting chaotic. A group of about 50 people had gathered outside to protest. They were peaceful, but they were loud. They chanted things like "No justice, no peace," and "Respect our children." They held signs. They gave interviews to reporters. Some of them were parents who said they would never take their children to this bank. Some were young people who said they had experienced similar treatment. Some were just community members who wanted to show support for Maya. Inside the bank, employees were scared and confused. Some of them had not known about what happened until they saw the news. Patricia Holloway had been told not to come to work that day. Mr. Chen was also not there. The branch manager, a woman named Sarah Mitchell, was trying to handle everything, but she was overwhelmed. Customers kept coming in angry. Some were closing their accounts. Some just wanted to yell at the staff. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, Thomas Brennan arrived at Maya's house. He had called ahead and asked if he could meet with the family. Robert had agreed, but only if they could have their pastor there with them. Thomas said yes to any conditions they wanted. The meeting happened in the Jenkins family living room. Maya, her parents, Marcus, Pastor Green from their church, and Thomas all sat together. Thomas had brought a lawyer from the bank, but the lawyer mostly just sat quietly and took notes. Thomas looked at Maya. Maya, I want to say to you directly how sorry I am for what happened. What that bank employee did to you was wrong. It was hurtful. It was discriminatory. And it never should have happened. Maya looked down at her hands. She did not know what to say. Can you tell me in your own words what happened that day? Thomas asked gently. I've seen the video and the security footage, but I want to hear from you. Maya took a deep breath. Then she told the whole story again. She told him about how excited she had been, about how hard she had worked for that money, about how Patricia had looked at her with suspicion from the start, about how loud Patricia had been, making everyone stare, about how long it took, about how small and ashamed she felt, about how she cried on the bench outside and did not want to tell anyone because she was embarrassed. As Maya talked, tears ran down her face. Her mother held her hand. Thomas listened to every word. When Maya finished, he was quiet for a moment. Maya, you did absolutely nothing wrong, he said. You should have been celebrated for your hard work and your savings. Instead, you were treated like a criminal. That is on us. That is on the bank. That is on our failure to properly train our employees and to create a culture of respect for all customers. What are you going to do about it? Marcus asked. Because sorry is not enough, Thomas nodded. You're right. Sorry is not enough. Here's what we're doing. Patricia Holloway has been suspended. She will not be working at any bank location while we complete our investigation. Mr. Chen, the supervisor, has also been suspended. We are reviewing all of the security footage and all past complaints. We are bringing in an outside company to audit all of our branches for discriminatory practices. And we are implementing mandatory anti-bias training for every single employee in our company. What about the other complaints? Pastor Green asked. He had done some research and found articles about other people complaining about treatment at First National Bank branches. This isn't the first time this has happened, is it? Thomas looked uncomfortable. No, it's not. And that's something we have to own. We have failed in the past to take complaints seriously enough. We have failed to hold our employees accountable. That is going to change, Robert spoke up. My daughter is 12 years old. She should be thinking about school and friends and just being a kid. Instead, she's traumatized. She's afraid to go back to school because she thinks everyone will stare at her. She's getting hateful messages on the internet from strangers. How are you going to make that right? Thomas did not have a good answer for that. I don't know if I can make that right, Mr. Jenkins. But I can promise you that we will do everything in our power to make sure this doesn't happen to another child. We want to create a scholarship fund in Maya's name. We want to use this as an opportunity to educate people about financial literacy and about treating all customers with dignity. A scholarship fund? Carol asked. Maya stared at her mother's phone. Her hands started shaking again. The video was playing on repeat. She could hear Patricia's voice. She could hear herself trying to explain. She could see her own face looking scared and confused. And underneath the video were thousands and thousands of comments from people she did not know. Turn it off, Maya whispered. Please turn it off. Her mother stopped the video and put the phone down. She sat next to Maya on the couch and put her arm around her daughter. Maya's father, Robert, stood up and started pacing. His face looked angry. Why didn't you tell us? Her father asked. Why didn't you say something when you got home? I didn't want to make trouble, Maya said quietly. I just wanted to forget about it. Marcus spoke up from where he was sitting.
She told me outside the bank.
I wanted to go back in there and report it, but Maya asked me not to. I should have told you guys. I'm sorry, Robert shook his head. This is not okay. None of this is okay. That woman had no right to treat you that way, Maya. No right at all. Maya's little sister, Keisha, who was only 8 years old, looked confused. What happened? Why is Maya on the internet? Carol explained it to Keisha in simple words. A lady at the bank was mean to Maya today. She didn't believe that Maya earned her own money. She treated Maya badly in front of lots of people, and someone recorded it on their phone and put it on the internet so other people could see what happened. That's not fair, Keisha said. Maya works really hard. She saved all that money herself. You're right, baby, Carol said. It's not fair at all. The family spent the next hour looking at all the places the video had appeared. It was on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. News websites had written articles about it. The video had been viewed over 3 million times now, and the number kept growing. People from all over the country were commenting. Some comments were supportive. Some were angry at the bank. Some were sharing their own stories about being treated badly. The phone in the house started ringing. It was a reporter from the local news station. They wanted to interview the family. Robert told them no, not tonight. But the phone kept ringing. More reporters. More people wanting to talk to them. At the bank's corporate headquarters in the city, everything was chaos. The CEO, the public relations team, and the legal team were all in an emergency meeting. The video had become a public relations nightmare. Their phones were ringing nonstop. Their social media pages were being flooded with angry messages. People were threatening to close their accounts. The story was on the evening news. Thomas Brennan, the regional director, was on a conference call with the corporate team. "We need to act fast," he said. "This is getting bigger by the minute. We need to reach out to the family. We need to apologize, and we need to investigate what happened. The video is pretty clear about what happened," someone on the legal team said. "That teller discriminated against a child. We could be facing a lawsuit." "Lawsuit or not, we need to do the right thing," the CEO said. "Contact the family tonight. I want a full investigation started immediately. Pull all the security footage from that branch. Interview everyone who was working that day, and someone find out who that teller is and put her on immediate leave." Thomas Brennan got the job of calling Maya's family. He looked up their phone number in the bank's records. His hands were sweating as he dialed. He had been working in banking for 25 years, but this was one of the hardest calls he ever had to make. Robert answered the phone. "Hello, Mr. Jenkins? This is Thomas Brennan. I'm the regional director for First National Bank. I'm calling about what happened to your daughter Maya today." Robert's voice got cold. "You mean how your employee humiliated my 12-year-old daughter in front of a whole bank full of people?" "Yes, sir, and I cannot tell you how sorry I am. What happened to Maya was completely unacceptable. I want you to know that we are taking this very seriously. We've already started an investigation." "An investigation?" Robert said. "The whole thing is on video. What is there to investigate?" "We want to get the complete picture, sir. We're pulling all the security camera footage from that day. We want to see everything that happened, not just what was in the video that went online. And I want to personally apologize to you and your family. What happened to Maya never should have happened." Robert was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "My daughter walked into your bank feeling proud of herself. She had worked hard for 2 years to save that money. And your employee treated her like a criminal. Do you know how that made her feel? Do you know she came home and cried in her room for hours?" Thomas felt a weight in his chest. "I can only imagine, sir, and I am truly sorry. I would like to meet with you and your family in person. I want to hear from Maya directly about what she experienced, and I want to make this right." "Make it right?" Robert said. "How are you going to make this right?" "I don't know yet," Thomas admitted. "But I promise you we are going to try. Can we set up a meeting? Maybe tomorrow?" Robert said he would talk to his wife and Maya and call back. After he hung up, the family sat together in the living room and talked about what to do. Maya did not want to meet with anyone from the bank. She did not want to talk about it anymore. But her parents explained that this was bigger than just her now. Other people needed to see that there were consequences for treating people badly. Other kids needed to see that they could stand up for themselves. While Maya's family was talking, Thomas Brennan was back at the bank branch that night. The bank was closed, but he had security let him in. He went to the security office and asked them to pull up all the footage from that Tuesday afternoon. For the next 3 hours, Thomas watched the security videos. There were cameras all over the bank. He could see everything from multiple angles. He watched Maya walk in with her envelope. He watched her wait in line. Then he watched Patricia's face when Maya said how much money she had. He saw Patricia's expression change from neutral to suspicious. He watched the whole interaction. But Thomas did not stop there. He asked the security guard to show him footage from earlier in the day. He wanted to see how Patricia treated other customers. What he saw made him feel sick. At 10:30 that morning, a young white boy, maybe 9 years old, had come in with his mother. The boy had a jar of coins and some bills. Patricia had been so different with this child. She had smiled. She had made small talk with the mother. She had counted the money quickly and cheerfully. The whole transaction took maybe 7 minutes. When they left, Patricia had given the boy a lollipop. At 1:15 in the afternoon, another young customer came in. A white girl, maybe 13 years old. She was alone, just like Maya had been. She wanted to deposit money from her birthday. She had about $400. Patricia processed it without any questions. She was polite and efficient. The girl walked out smiling. The transaction took less than 10 minutes. But with Maya, everything had been different. Patricia's whole attitude had been different. She had been suspicious, rude, and slow. She had made a scene. She had treated Maya like she was lying, like she was doing something wrong. Thomas kept watching. After Maya left the bank, the cameras caught something else. Patricia was talking to the teller next to her. Thomas turned up the volume on the security footage. He could hear Patricia saying, "I just don't trust it. Kids like that, you never know where they're getting money from. Probably drug money or stolen or something. Those people always have something going on. Those people." Patricia had said those people. The other teller had looked uncomfortable but had not said anything back. Thomas felt anger rising in his chest. This was not just bad customer service. This was clear discrimination. And what made it worse was that Patricia had a history. Thomas spent another hour going through old complaint records. He found 4 different complaints against Patricia from customers of color over the past 3 years. Each time the branch manager had handled it internally. Each time Patricia had gotten a warning but had kept her job. Each time the complaints had been filed away and forgotten. Mr. Chen, the supervisor who had been there during Maya's visit, also had a problem. Thomas found records showing that Mr. Chen had been the one handling some of those complaints. He had minimized them. He had protected Patricia. He had said things like, she was just being careful, or she was following procedure. But the security footage showed the truth. Patricia was not treating everyone carefully. She was not following the same procedure with everyone. She was treating black customers differently than white customers, and Mr. Chen had been letting it happen. Thomas picked up his phone and called his boss at corporate. "We have a bigger problem than we thought," he said. "This wasn't just one bad day. This has been going on for years." By midnight, the bank had made several decisions. Patricia Holloway would be placed on immediate suspension pending a full investigation. Mr. Chen would also be suspended. The branch manager would be required to answer questions about why these complaints had been ignored. And the bank would hire an outside company to review all their branches for similar problems. Thomas sent an email to his whole team. The subject line said, "Emergency mandatory training for all employees." Maya sat on the bench outside the bank and cried. She did not care who saw her anymore. Her whole body was shaking. She kept thinking about the way Patricia had looked at her. She kept hearing those words in her head. Kids these days. Where does this kind of money come from? Like Maya was a criminal. Like she had stolen the money instead of working hard for it. After about 10 minutes, Maya heard a familiar voice. "Maya, is that you?" She looked up and saw her older brother Marcus walking toward her. He was 19 years old and had just gotten off work from his job at the grocery store. He still wore his work shirt. He was supposed to pick Maya up at 4 o'clock, but he was early. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked, sitting down next to her on the bench. His face was full of worry. "Why are you crying? What happened?" Maya tried to talk, but at first only sobs came out. Marcus put his arm around her shoulder and waited. Finally, Maya was able to tell him everything. She told him about Patricia, about how the teller had treated her like a thief, about how she had checked every single bill like Maya's money was fake, about how loud she had been, making everyone in the bank stare, about how long it had taken, about the supervisor who did not believe her either. As Maya talked, Marcus's face changed. His jaw got tight. His eyes got hard. Maya could tell he was angry. Very angry. "That's not right," Marcus said when Maya finished. "That's discrimination. That woman treated you that way because of the color of your skin. If you were a white kid, I bet she would have smiled and processed your account in 5 minutes." Maya had thought the same thing, but hearing Marcus say it out loud made it feel more real, more painful. "We need to report this," Marcus said. "We need to call the bank manager. We need to tell Mom and Dad." "No," Maya said quickly. "Please don't. I just want to forget about it. I don't want to make a big deal. What if they close my account? What if it gets worse?" Marcus looked at his sister. He could see how upset she was. He wanted to march back into that bank right now and yell at Patricia and the supervisor, But he also knew Maya had been through enough for one day. "Okay," he said quietly.
We don't have to do anything right now?
"But this isn't right, Maya. You know that, right? You didn't do anything wrong." "Then why do I feel so bad?" Maya asked. Fresh tears rolled down her face. Marcus hugged her. "Because that woman made you feel bad on purpose. Come on. Let's go home." What Maya and Marcus did not know was that someone else had been watching everything that happened in the bank. Her name was Jennifer Walsh. She was a 42-year-old teacher who had been standing in line behind Maya. Jennifer had come to the bank to deposit her paycheck. Jennifer had watched the whole thing happen. She had seen how Patricia treated Maya. She had heard every word. At first, Jennifer thought maybe there was a good reason. Maybe the bank had special rules about children and large deposits. But as she watched, she realized what was really happening. This was not about rules. This was about how Patricia saw this young black girl. Jennifer remembered watching Patricia help other customers earlier. Just 30 minutes before Maya arrived, a young white boy, maybe 10 years old, had come in with his father. The boy had birthday money to deposit, maybe $200. Patricia had been so sweet to him. She had smiled. She had processed it quickly. She had even given the boy a lollipop from the jar on her desk. But with Maya, no smile, no kindness, just suspicion and rudeness and public humiliation. Jennifer had felt her anger growing as she watched. She had wanted to say something right there in the bank, but she was worried about making things worse for Maya. Instead, she had pulled out her phone. She had pretended to be looking at something, but really she started recording. The video was not perfect. Her phone was down low so Patricia would not notice. But the audio was clear. Patricia's voice saying, "These bills look suspicious, and kids these days," and talking about where this kind of money comes from. The video also showed Maya's face. You could see the tears. You could see how small and scared she looked. Jennifer recorded for about 3 minutes. Then she put her phone away. When it was finally her turn at the counter, she said nothing to Patricia. She just did her banking and left, but her mind was racing the whole time. That evening, Jennifer sat at her kitchen table with her laptop. She watched the video again. It made her just as angry the second time. She thought about her own daughter, who was 11 years old. She thought about how she would feel if someone treated her daughter this way. She thought about all the black children who probably got treated like this every day and nobody ever saw it. Nobody ever said anything. Jennifer created a post on social media. She uploaded the video. She wrote a caption that said, "This is how First National Bank treats a 12-year-old girl trying to save her hard-earned money. This child did nothing wrong except be black in a bank. We need to do better." She posted it on her Facebook page. Then she shared it to Twitter. Then she posted it on Instagram. Jennifer did not have a huge following. She had maybe 500 friends on Facebook and 300 followers on Twitter. She did not expect much to happen. But she felt like she had to do something. Then Jennifer went to bed. But she could not sleep well. She kept thinking about that little girl's face. The next morning, Jennifer woke up to her phone buzzing like crazy. She had 47 text messages. She had hundreds of notifications. She opened her Facebook app and gasped. The video had been shared over 2,000 times. It had 200,000 views. People were commenting everywhere. "This is disgusting. That bank employee should be fired. This made me cry. This happens all the time and nobody cares. That poor baby." Comments went on and on. Jennifer started checking her other social media. The video had spread to Twitter. Someone with a large following had retweeted it. Now it had even more views there. People were using hashtags like #BankingWhileBlack and #RespectOurChildren. By noon, the video had over 1 million views across all platforms. Local news stations started calling Jennifer. They wanted to interview her. They wanted to know more about what happened. Jennifer told them everything she knew. She told them she did not know the girl's name or how to contact her family. She just knew what she saw was wrong. The news stations found out the bank's name and location from the video. They started calling the bank. They showed up at the branch with cameras. They asked to speak to the manager. First National Bank's corporate office started getting phone calls. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. People were angry. They wanted answers. They wanted to know why that bank employee treated a child that way. They wanted to know what the bank was going to do about it. By the afternoon, the video had over 2 million views. It was everywhere. People across the country were watching it. They were sharing it. They were talking about it. At Maya's house, the family had no idea any of this was happening. Maya had come home from the bank and gone straight to her room. She told her parents she had opened her account but that she was tired. She did not tell them what really happened. She did not want to talk about it. Marcus had kept his promise not to say anything, but it was hard for him. He kept thinking about whether he was doing the right thing by staying quiet. That evening, Maya's mother, Carol, was scrolling through Facebook on her phone. Suddenly, she stopped. She sat up straight on the couch. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What?" Maya's father, Robert, asked from his chair. Carol did not answer. She just got up and walked quickly to Maya's room. She knocked on the door.
Maya, honey, I need you to come out here. Maya opened her door.
Her eyes were red from crying earlier. "What's wrong?" "Come to the living room. Your father and I need to talk to you." Maya's heart started beating fast. Had the bank called? Were they taking her money back? She walked slowly to the living room. Her whole family was there now. Marcus, her mother, her father, and her little sister. Carol held out her phone to Maya. "Is this you?" Maya looked at the screen. She saw herself. She saw the bank counter. She saw Patricia. She heard her own voice on the video, shaking and scared. She looked up at her mother with wide eyes. How did you get this?" Maya asked. "It's everywhere, baby," Carol said gently. "The whole internet is watching this video. Everyone is talking about what happened to you." Maya felt like she could not breathe. "What?" Maya Jenkins held the white envelope tightly in both hands as she walked through the glass doors of First National Bank. Her heart was beating fast with excitement. Inside the envelope was $2,847. Every single dollar had been earned by her own hands over the past 2 years. She was only 12 years old, but Maya had worked hard for this money. She had mowed lawns in the hot summer sun. She had babysat the neighbors' children every weekend. She had walked dogs after school. She had helped elderly people carry their groceries. Every dollar, every quarter, every dime had been carefully saved. Today was the day she would finally open her very first savings account. Maya wore her best outfit. She had on a clean white shirt and her nicest jeans. Her grandmother had helped her comb her hair into 2 neat braids that morning. Her grandmother had also given her the envelope and told her to be proud of herself. Not many 12-year-olds saved this much money. Maya felt proud. She felt grown up. The bank was busy that Tuesday afternoon. There were about 7 or 8 people waiting in different lines. Maya looked around and chose the shortest line. She stood behind an older man who was doing some paperwork. She waited patiently, holding her envelope close to her chest. After 5 minutes, it was her turn. Maya stepped up to the counter with a big smile on her face. Behind the counter stood a woman with short blonde hair and glasses. Her name tag said, Patricia Holloway, Senior Teller. Patricia had been working at this bank for 15 years. "Good afternoon," Maya said politely. "I would like to open a savings account, please." Patricia looked down at Maya. Her eyes moved from Maya's face to the envelope in her hands. Patricia did not smile back. Instead, her eyebrows went up and her lips pressed together in a thin line. "Where are your parents?" Patricia asked. Her voice was not friendly. "My mom is at work," Maya explained. "But my grandmother knows I'm here. I have my own money to deposit." Maya placed the envelope on the counter. Patricia stared at it like it was something dirty. She did not reach for it right away. "How much money is in there?" Patricia asked. $2,847, Maya said proudly. "I saved it all myself." Patricia's face changed. She looked suspicious now. Her eyes became narrow. She picked up the envelope like it might explode. She opened it slowly and looked inside. Then she looked back at Maya with a face that made Maya's stomach feel strange. "You expect me to believe a child your age earned this much money?" Patricia said loudly. Several people in the bank turned to look. "Where did you really get this money?" Maya felt her cheeks get hot. "I told you. I worked for it. I did yard work and babysitting and—" "These bills look suspicious," Patricia interrupted. She was speaking even louder now. More people were staring. "Kids don't just walk around with this kind of cash. Is this really yours?" Maya's voice became smaller. "Yes, ma'am. It's mine. I worked really hard." Patricia started taking the money out of the envelope. She was making a big show of it. She held each bill up to the light like she was checking if they were fake. She made little sounds with her mouth like she did not believe Maya at all. Other customers were definitely watching now. Maya could feel their eyes on her. "Margaret," Patricia called out to another employee. "Can you get Mr. Chen? I need the supervisor here." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. This was not how this day was supposed to go. She had imagined walking into the bank, opening her account, and walking out feeling proud and happy. Instead, she felt small and scared and like she had done something wrong. Mr. Chen, the branch supervisor, came over. He was a short man with dark hair and a serious face. Patricia started talking to him in a low voice, but Maya could hear some of the words. "Suspicious amount. Just a kid. Needs to verify. You know how it is these days." Mr. Chen looked at Maya. "Young lady, do your parents know you're here? This is a lot of money for someone your age." "My grandmother knows," Maya said again. Her voice was shaking now. "I saved this money. I can call her if you want. She can tell you." "That won't be necessary right now," Mr. Chen said. But he did not sound kind. He sounded like he did not believe her either. "Patricia, go ahead and process it, but check everything carefully." Patricia went back to examining the money. She was taking her time. She counted each bill so slowly. She kept holding them up to the light. She was talking to the other teller next to her, saying things like "kids these days" and "where does this kind of money even come from?" She said these things loud enough for Maya to hear. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Maya wanted to run out of the bank. She wanted to grab her money and leave. But she stayed frozen at the counter. Tears were running down her cheeks now. She tried to wipe them away quickly, but more kept coming. An older woman standing in line behind Maya looked uncomfortable. She kept glancing at Maya with concern on her face. A few other customers were whispering to each other and looking at Maya. Patricia kept counting. The minutes felt like hours. Maya counted them in her head. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Finally, after what felt like forever, Patricia finished counting the money. "The amount is correct," Patricia said to Mr. Chen. She did not say it to Maya. "Fine," Mr. Chen said. "Open the account." Patricia started typing on her computer. She did not speak to Maya anymore. She just filled out forms and typed and printed papers. When she finally pushed the papers across the counter for Maya to sign, she did it without looking at Maya's face. Maya signed the papers with shaking hands. Her tears had made some of the ink smudge a little. Patricia printed out a receipt and a temporary bank card. She slid them across the counter. "Your permanent card will come in the mail in 7 to 10 business days," Patricia said in a flat voice. Then she looked past Maya and called out, "Next!" Maya grabbed her receipt and card. She turned and walked toward the door as fast as she could without running. She could still feel people staring at her. She heard someone behind her say something about "those people," but she did not turn around to see who said it. When Maya pushed through the glass doors and got outside, the afternoon sun felt too bright. She walked to the bench near the bus stop and sat down. Then she put her face in her hands and cried. All the pride she had felt when she walked into that bank was gone. All the happiness about her hard work was gone. Instead, she felt shame. She felt like somehow she had done something wrong, even though she knew she had not. This was supposed to be one of the best days of her life. Instead, it had become one of the worst. They interviewed Maya and her family. They interviewed Thomas Brennan and showed all the changes at the bank. They interviewed community leaders and some of the scholarship recipients. The story was called How One Video Changed a Community. During her interview, the reporter asked Maya what she wanted people to remember about her story. Maya thought about it and then said something that surprised even herself. "I want people to remember that I'm not just a victim. Yes, something bad happened to me. Yes, I was treated unfairly. But I'm also a survivor. I'm also someone who used her pain to create change. I want people to know that even young people have power. Even kids can make a difference. You don't have to be an adult to stand up for what's right. You don't have to be perfect to deserve respect. You just have to be human. And every human being deserves to be treated with dignity." The reporter smiled. "That's very wise for someone your age." Maya shrugged. "I had to grow up faster than I wanted to. But maybe that's okay. Maybe everything happens for a reason." After the interview aired, Maya got messages from young people all over the country. Kids who had experienced discrimination. Kids who felt powerless. Kids who thought nobody would listen to them. They thanked Maya for sharing her story. They told her she had inspired them. Some said they had spoken up about unfair treatment because of her example. Some said they had started saving money because she showed them it was possible. These messages meant more to Maya than any of the apologies from the bank or the scholarship funds or the protests. These messages showed her that her pain had not been for nothing. Other kids were being helped because she had been brave enough to let people see her hurt. But Maya also knew that the work was not finished. Yes, one bank had changed some of its practices. Yes, one teller had been fired. Yes, there was more awareness now. But discrimination had not ended. Bias still existed. Children of color were still treated with suspicion in stores and banks and schools. There was still so much work to do. Maya decided that she would keep telling her story as long as people wanted to hear it. She would keep speaking at schools and community events. She would keep advocating for change, not because she wanted to be famous or special, but because she had learned something important. She had learned that silence allows bad things to continue. She had learned that speaking up even when it's scary is how change happens. She had learned that one person, even a 12-year-old girl, can make a difference. One evening, Maya sat with her family at the dinner table. They were having their favorite meal, her mother's chicken and rice. Everyone was talking and laughing. For a moment, Maya just looked around at her family. Her father, strong and protective. Her mother, wise and loving. Marcus. Her big brother, who always had her back. Keisha. Her little sister, who looked up to her. This was what mattered most. Not the banks or the news stories or the viral videos. This family. This love, this support. "What are you thinking about?" her mother asked, noticing Maya's thoughtful expression. Maya smiled. "I'm thinking about how lucky I am. Even though something bad happened, I have all of you, and I have a chance to help other people. That's pretty special." Her father reached over and squeezed her hand. "You're pretty special, Maya. We're all proud of you." As Maya looked around the table at the faces of the people who loved her most, she realized something important. The camera footage had changed everything, but not in the way people might think. Yes, it had led to bank policy changes and protests and news stories, but the real change had happened inside Maya herself. She had discovered her own strength. She had found her voice. She had learned that she was worth fighting for, and that other people were worth fighting for too. That was the real transformation. That was what the camera footage had truly changed. And that change would last long after the video stopped trending, long after the news cameras went away, long after everyone else had moved on to the next story. Maya would carry that change with her for the rest of her life.